All right. So finally, we ended up back in the man cave. I know I've been talking about doing martial arts film reviews and analysis and all that shit. And we're gonna sit down and talk about. It's not necessarily a martial arts film, but it's got a guy who's pretty, I guess, theatrically speaking, he's deep into martial arts, and that's Wesley Snipes, because we're talking about Blade today, and we're gonna go over everything from how influential the film was, especially to the Marvel Universe and to like comic book films in general. And then just, shoot the shit about all the other stuff. Because it's one of our favorite flicks, period. So, as usual, I'm Strydent. And I've got my dude, Glen Brewer with me. He illustrated askari, hodari, and Myth Smith, right?
Yeah.
Because that's out.
Yeah.
And then you also did... goodness, what was the two names? I always forget it.
Paka and Shuja.
There you go.
Comic.
It's a kid's comic. So yeah, me and him, I've known him for a long time. So yeah, we rap about martial arts all the time and just kung fu movies and shit. Now we're gonna do this and record it and talk to you guys. So what's up, man?
What's up, man? How do you want to get into it, man? You want to kind of just start with let's start with obviously Blade 1,
of course,
just I don't know, just kind of maybe talk about what you liked about it and maybe things that you didn't like about it.
Okay, yeah, we could do that. So like Blade 1, I'm not going to talk too much at first. I want you to talk more so people get to hear what you have to say. But Blade 1 came out around the time, shortly after The Matrix. It might have actually dropped before The Matrix, right before or right after. I think it was right after, 98, right? And The Matrix was 99.
I think it dropped before.
Right before The Matrix, yeah. So for a lot of people, myself included, it was like, I don't know, man. It took me by surprise in a different way from The Matrix. Because, you had, your main character was black, my shade of brown. Like, there's no mistaking it. Mm-hmm. And on top of it, he was scrapping with people the way that you see all the other heroes do, the Asian guys and the white guys. And it was unique, though. It didn't feel like the same shit that you see in everything else. It wasn't exactly Hong Kong style martial arts, but it had the influence from Hong Kong style martial arts,
Mm-hmm.
And that's due to Chuck Jeffries and Jeff Ward. For whatever reason, the two of them working together with Wesley Snipes just took that shit to a whole different level. You had seen Jeff Ward's choreography and other Wesley Snipes stuff before Blade, but you really got to see it in this.
Right.
So yeah, I was blown away just by the fights alone and the fact that they took I don't want to call him a D-list. He was pretty much a D-list character before this, you know? He was like, we knew him if you read comics, but if you didn't read comics, you had no idea who this guy was. And then you see this movie and it's like, damn, not only did they make him look thorough as fuck, but the martial arts were on point, and it felt like he was definitely, like, when the villains in the movie talk about him and they're afraid, when you see him fight, it's like, okay.
You understand why.
Yeah, you totally feel it. You buy it.
Yeah, real quick, too. I was reading where Snipes met Jeff Ward on the set of a really good boxing film. It's old. It's called Streets of Gold. I can't even find it anywhere. It's a boxing flick. It's him. He's like being trained by this Russian guy. He's like he was a fighter from Russia, and he's like washing dishes, and he runs into Wesley Snipes and this other kid. But it's a real good film. But anyway, yeah, that's just kind of, I remember reading or watching an interview where they talked about that's how they met. The two of them, Jeff Ward and Snipes.
Yeah, and Jeff Ward, he went on to do some other stuff too, but the best thing I can think of off the top of my head right now is Hellboy. He did the choreography for Hellboy. So all the crazy shit you saw, Krauser, the dude with the blades in his hands, not only was it choreographed by Jeff Ward, but Jeff Ward is playing Krauser in the fight scenes. So dude's nice. Chuck Jeffries, the only thing I can think of with him, just so that if you guys want to look him up and see what he's capable of, they used to make fun of him and call him Eddie Snipes because he had the comedy stuff and laughed kind of like Eddie Murphy, but he could fight. And he was in Blood Moon. He's the black dude who's opposite Gary Daniels. And dude's dope. He's got skills. He's got lots of skills.
Is he Snipes' main stunt guy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Jeff Ward popped in here and there, but yeah, Chuck Jeffries is the main guy, and I guess between the two of them, they just came up with a style of action that it stood out from, you know, the other stuff you were seeing. That's why you're seeing them use Kali way before everybody else was using Kali. You're seeing them use C-Lot way before you saw anyone else use C-Lot. So it's just a lot of things they were doing with the action that, like, the movie just stood out, you know? And that's just the action. We're not even talking about the plot and, like, the way everything worked itself out. So, I don't know, I dug it. I dug the look of it, even though it had that, some people say it's that 90s look where you have amber mornings and blue nights, you know?
Right.
But I just dug the whole feel of it. I mean, he had his shades, he had his leather, but if you remember in the 90s, during the Night Stalkers runs of comics and Spirits of Vengeance and all that shit, the Midnight Suns, Blade did wear a whole leather, you know, biker suit. So this felt more real than that corny ass, tight ass leather bodysuit he was wearing in the comics. So, and he didn't have the Jerry curl, thank God. So, I don't know. From an aesthetic point of view, I dug it. I dug everything. Deacon Frost, he was pretty dope as a villain. Like, his attitude was dope. He just seemed like he was the opposite of the villains that you see that be talking all this shit and whatnot. Like, he just seemed like if he said it, he's gonna do it.
Right.
That's it. You know. So that was perfect counter for Blade. But what about you, man? Let him have it.
I definitely, you know, I like the film. I found out about Blade, I think, at the theaters, man. I was going to see another movie, and I saw the trailer. This is like, you know, this is back in the day before the internet was really like the way it is now. You know what I mean? With YouTube and all of that stuff. So I definitely was surprised as well because I didn't know Snipes could, you know, fight like that. I've known him mostly at that point. I've known him from mostly his dramatic stuff. So to see this dude, you know.
You didn't see Passenger 57?
Did Passenger 57 come out before this?
Hell yeah.
What about Demolition?
Way before that, yeah.
Huh? Maybe I.
You just didn't think about
maybe
it.
I'm just not remembering it right then because I remember being blown away. But
yeah,
okay, well there you go. Then. Now you have it. The look of it, man. I tell you one thing that I liked was the design of Blade.
Yeah.
The tattoos, the shoulder tattoos. I know tattoos are kind of the thing now, but you know these
tribal.
Yeah, all you know. On his shoulders and up his neck, which is really different looking.
Down his back too.
Yeah, his outfit, like his vest or his flak jacket. Now they could have gone with like some Joel Schumacher Batman, you know, molded chest thing.
Yep.
But they got the feel of a breastplate, but made it more practical because it looks like.
Yeah, pecs.
It looks like
abdominal muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the breast part is armor.
Yep.
The little pockets, little, you know, compartments where the abs are. Those are little compartments where he puts little gadgets, the little.
The garrote wires.
Exactly.
Yep.
The things on the side that kind of look like ribs are magazine holders for his clips.
Exactly.
So.
It was all practical.
Yeah, it was dope, man.
Yeah.
It was dope. I really liked it.
Form follows function, man.
Exactly.
I've been saying that shit for so long, and people don't understand it. That's an example of it right there.
And I would say, too, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but that's what I didn't like as the series progressed.
Yeah.
His vest and his things became less functional, more about aesthetic. They just kind of, they wanted to kind of look kind of cool.
Exactly.
But, you know, the martial arts as well, it was such a blend, a mixture of different, you know, all of these different styles.
Yeah.
You know, you had, he's doing Kung Fu. What's up, Phil? He's doing,
yeah, he was doing everything.
What's going on, man? Yeah.
Muay Thai, everything.
Yeah, you had, I mean, in the first sequence, you got him doing, he starts off with the guns. Then it's the hand-to-hand stuff, man.
Well, then he was mixing it up, too. Because when he was using the shotgun, he was doing all kinds of kicks and counters, and yeah, it was nice.
Then he gets into that I don't know what you call it, that draining pit where they will put the meat, and now he's using the sword, he's using the glaive. It was just all over the place, man. It was just really, really, it was really different. I liked everybody in it. I liked, the Boucher Wright. I wish they had brought her back for the second one. I can't think of that guy's name who played Deacon Frost. What is that guy's name?
Stephen Dorff.
Stephen Dorff.
Yeah.
I thought he was good. They had the one older actor who played like Dracula in some older Dracula films.
Oh, Udo Kier.
Yeah. The one guy who played Quinn, he was funny.
Oh, Donald Logg. Yeah. Because he's playing Harvey Dent right now on Gotham.
Right, okay. So you had all of my favorite genres. You had horror, you had science fiction, you had fantasy, you had action. You even had martial arts if you want to make that into a subgenre.
Exactly.
And the thing that I think I liked the most about it was the first film that I'd seen where they took... Keep going.
Sure.
Yeah, but where they took, vampirism and approached it from a scientific kind of angle.
Yeah.
Because most films before was always, religious or mystical or fantasy, some kind of, they had that kind of approach. But in this film, they, like I said, they took a scientific approach. And it was interesting, too, because David Goyer gets credit for the script, but Ernest Dickerson was originally attached to this project. So people don't remember Ernest Dickerson. He was involved with Juice. He did a lot of work for Spike Lee back in the days. I mean, he's still working. He's doing a lot of directing stuff. He's done some stuff for The Walking Dead. But he said that he wrote the original script, and he was the one who came up with the idea of approaching Blade from a scientific perspective.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Because you notice these days, like everything that Goyer is attached to, there's always somebody else that came up with all these ideas, and then he gets all the props. That's why I will, till the day I die, every time people bitch about BVS, every time people bitch about Man of Steel, I'm going to say, if you're going to bitch, don't blame the director, because the director didn't write that shit. Blame Goyer. But they keep giving Goyer job after job after job. I mean, he's kind of jacking up the whole cinematic universe, and if it was left up to me, I'd get his ass out of there. Get him way out of there, or talk to him about ideas, and don't have him writing your scripts.
Yeah, Goyer to me, and the reason I really believe that story from Ernest Dickerson is because when they let Goyer have complete control over the story, we saw what happened. Mm-hmm. We saw what happened.
Both with the TV show and the movie that does not exist.
Yeah, we get into that, but
House of Shit.
The first film he wrote, then you had Norrington directing.
Yeah,
people really don't give directors a lot of credit in terms of like pulling the reins on certain stuff, man.
Exactly.
He gets the credit for Batman and Batman. Hey, man, a lot of that was Christopher Nolan and his brother, really.
Yeah.
So, and we saw what happened with Blade Trinity, but that's, coming out.
Or even Blade 2, because,
man, Guillermo del Toro
jumped out a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah. He talks. I'm telling you, got to find the special features.
I listened to it. Yeah,
where he called it sperm removal.
Yeah, there was a lot of junk in there, but
it was one of the first times I heard somebody rip a director rip a writer so bad. He was like, dude had no filter. Mm-hmm. He wanted to put every idea he came up with into the film, hands down, and he was like, nah.
He saw what happened in Blade Trinity.
And then pretty much everything that he didn't get to put in Blade 2,
put in Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man. Yeah, overall, I dug it. I liked it. Did I have some issues with it? Yeah, but for the most part, man.
Were they preference stuff?
Little stuff like, I thought that with Karen Jensen's character, I thought it was kind of convenient for them to kind of bump into this lady at the hospital. I thought what would have made more sense would have been, Blade's. Well, Blade's his serum wasn't working as well.
Yeah.
They established it. They set that up. So what would have made more sense for me was for Whistler to go out and
and go
find her and then bring her into the world, as opposed to them just happening to bump into this famous, this woman who's a genius with hematology, and she and she makes a cure and all that. I mean, it would have been better. But easy fix for them to just have him go and find her.
Well, it could be the one coincidence because, like, since it wasn't a TV show, like if it was a TV show that ran for like a couple seasons, you'd be like, man, this is some bullshit. That every episode, you know, you got this person who coincidentally became part of the fold. But if this story takes place over a short period of time,
right,
and it's like this just happened to happen this time,
right.
So I mean, I guess, but it is a coincidence still, you know. But it's more believable if it's a one-time thing than if, say, you know, the TV series had it happen again and it was something that continued.
Yeah. The last thing that I had an issue with was the very ending. And David Goyer talked about this, that he didn't really have the ending worked out, you know, because in the I saw a couple of deleted endings, and the one, man, Deacon Frost kind of turns into this like a
the blood
jello
tornado.
Yeah, man. And
the jello tornado.
So I think that they didn't really. I think he kind of had a direction he was going in, because I think he wanted to go with this whole apocalypse thing where Lamagra actually wins at the end, and that they were going to do this Mad Max thing, but the studio didn't want to do it. So what you get at the end is this fight scene with him with the sword and all that. And it's definitely better than what they gave us, but it just, I don't know, man. Something about it it didn't work for me. It was cool, you know, I'm nitpicking, but...
Yeah, like Lamagra seemed like that should have been the third movie, because it's a blood god.
Exactly.
Like
Dracula. Agent O joined us.
Yeah.
Sorry. You know how it is.
Like you got Dracula, which was like the third movie, and he was whack. Because he was running from Blade the whole time.
What? There was a third Blade?
Yeah.
There's no third Blade movie. What are you talking about?
I dreamt it, man. I seen it. But
these things just took over me.
But yeah, like I agree with you, man. Lamagra seemed like it should have been something much, much bigger than what it actually turned out to be.
Yeah. I agree.
Move on to the second one, man.
Well, actually,
let's
one of the other things, I don't know if you guys already covered this.
No, go ahead.
But I was really when I first saw Blade, I was so happy just because they did that thing where he's a vampire hunter who just happens to be black. Like the movie didn't really center on him being black.
They never spit the N-word, nothing. They never even mentioned what color he is. They just said the Daywalker.
Yeah. And that was cool because I'm tired of, we're starting to get tired of seeing, street level heroes that always have to be people of color. And like this was like somebody who's dealing with something crazier and bigger than that. And they just happen to be black, but it didn't have anything to do with the plot itself.
Exactly.
Real quick, they had a really interesting way of making it, injecting, I don't want to use the word blackness. I ain't that hip, but without making it be that. You had the Karen Jensen characters in there, who's which normally they would not have done. But you also had the one guy, the guy who worked in the he was like
curio shop.
And it wasn't a lot of dialogue. He had the little eye of Horus, and then his hairstyle with the little knots, and then he gave Blade the pound, but that's all you needed. We didn't need you didn't need all of this extra, and
that's
and that, and blah, 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 blah.
The cool thing about that too is that like usually with and I'm giving away a lot of like I'm a dork for vampire hunters and demon hunters and stuff. I got a story that I've been working on for a long time that has this stuff. And like one of my favorite games is the old White Wolf Hunter the Reckoning. You remember that stuff?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're about to say.
They always talk about how there's this whole world where all this shit is going on, and if you are a hunter and you know what's going on, there's people you go to for your weapons, there's people you go to for your magic stuff, there's people you go to for just knowledge so you can find out, like gurus and shit that know. Like, if you're dealing with vampires, they can tell you everything about vampires, all the different houses all over the world, et cetera, et cetera. And without doing too much, they let you feel like that was what you were, when you follow Blade as he walks through New York, that's what you were running into. And if you read the books, there was the Darkhold, there were all the other characters that were considered part of the Midnight Suns, that universe, which exists within the Marvel Universe. And they didn't even name drop any of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you read the books, you feel like you're seeing that shit. And that guy you mentioned felt like he could have fit in, like Darkhold or something.
Right.
So he knew about this whole thing with vampires. He knows about, he sells Blade or hooks him up with tools to use in his fight against vampires and stuff. And you didn't need too much. They gave you just enough so you got it. You felt like that's the way it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's something they don't do anymore. Now everything has to be name drop. It got to be an Easter egg.
It's got to be explained to no one.
Yeah, they got to explain it to you. It's like, come on, like really? So what else? You want to jump to 2? I think there's still more stuff to talk about 1 because it did a lot of stuff right. What stuff? Maybe Asian, what you didn't like about the first Blade? Was there anything?
No, man.
Yeah, I can't think of too much.
I mean, the fact that they did what they did with not with a character that hardly anybody knew. You know, with no hype or no marketing whatsoever.
That's the thing, yeah. Because my friend, I was in school here.
Yeah.
And one of my homeboys back home in Jersey was like, "You see that trailer for Blade?" I was like, "What trailer for Blade?"
I didn't know about it till the day it came out.
Yeah.
And everybody was leaving the dorms, and I was like, "Why is everybody leaving the dorms?" They're like, "They're going to see Blade," and I was like, "Blade?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, they made a movie with Wesley Snipes." I was like, "Why?" Because the only Blade I remember is with the green goggles, the pea coat, and I was like, the wooden stakes and shit.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Terry Lee.
And it just wasn't like at the time I'm thinking about it. I was like, it's not really that great of a character.
Exactly.
But then you go and see it, and I was just like, my mind was fucking blown away.
Yeah, blown away.
I think one of the best things that they did was changing his power set.
Giving him powers.
Yeah, because in the comics he doesn't have any powers. He can just
immune to
vampire bites. But in this, they make him, basically like a I thought that was dope, man. That was really, that was slick, and that's one of my biggest problems with Blade Trinity is
what's Blade Trinity?
We'll get to it.
There's no such thing as Blade Trinity. What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about, for real?
We'll get to it, man.
No, go ahead. Say,
no.
You want to save it for when
we'll save it for when we get to it, yeah.
But yeah, Blade, okay, this is the part I guess we need to talk about before we get into Blade 2. People do not realize that Blade kicked off this superhero film renaissance that we are living in right now. It came before X-Men. It came even before The Matrix. So when people say The Matrix inspired blah, blah, blah. Okay, Blade came first. He had the glasses, the trench coat, all the bad guys running around in black suits. Bullet time was in there too, you're right. So a lot of it, he was doing martial arts real slick in the street. So you're seeing familiar settings, but you're seeing old school fighting styles. It was everything that The Matrix was doing, except for the super crazy sci-fi, like mind fuck type, storytelling. Or premise, I guess I should say. It was doing a lot of what The Matrix also did, But you see that with like the X-Men movies, they straight bit off a Blade from the leather suits, even the look of the film with the blue and the amber and it was like everything was just straight bit off of what you call it, which is not the way it should be.
Shit, Underworld's bit off of Blade.
Oh my god,
hard.
Oh my god.
I like Kevin Graveau.
And they were talking about
having them crossover.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, but Marvel, they would. I guess Kate Beckinsale said that they had approached Marvel about
having Blade be in
Blade.
Yeah.
But what I want to say was, do either of you all remember the Constantine movie?
Oh yeah.
With
Keanu Reeves, yeah.
Do you remember the sequence at the end where he's fighting the demons? He does with the sprinkler and the water comes down and he got the holy shotgun.
Oh yeah,
bro.
Yeah, straight up Blade.
That's Blade right there.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah.
The sprinklers, the holy water.
Yeah.
He's hitting them. They blowing up. He hitting the demons. He's foot sweeping them with the shotgun.
Yeah.
I was like, man, wow. It was dope though.
Yeah.
Don't forget about Daybreakers too, because they stole the whole keeping people as basically giant blood bags.
But in their defense, like I said, Hunter the Reckoning and Vampire the Masquerade and shit, they put that. It's been in comics before the movie did it, because I don't even think that was a thing in Blade comics until they did that whole arc where he was way in the future and he had that goofy silver and black
with
costume with the purple cape. that they didn't really get into that story. You know, mankind as the food source for vampires and them storing us, like freeze drying us and stuff. So, you know, that's the I don't know. That's the change. That's the change. But what else?
Blade 2. Blade 2.
Yeah. Jump to Blade 2.
Mm-hmm.
I like Blade 2, even though in a lot of ways it kind of feels like they revisited the first movie a bit more than they should have. But it was like Blade 1 with more money. He had the better outfit. The CG was a hell of a lot better, and they even did the whole,
except for one.
The whole
one shot.
Well, yeah.
I mean, shot, but
the Van Damme kick shot. but the part when he jumps out the window, though, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was insane. Shot. No, I'm talking about
he called it the Z cam. That's what
Del Toro was called. No, I'm talking about the lights, the god lights scene. That was the worst CG in the movie, where they were all squashed and stretched.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible.
And they paused with the swords at each other, looking like a Pixar film.
Yeah, because it was like right after he did that kick. Crazy
it was like
extension.
It was like a triple spin kick in midair with the split at the end. Yeah. I mean, it was dope that they went there because they just,
No, just let it go, man. Just let it go.
It was dope that they went there. Yeah, Lil Strydent is watching Big Hero 6 in the background. So you might, I guess, hear him, because I'm getting tired of editing him out. So you might hear him, you know, my bad in advance. These are the things, you know, dads deal with. But, yeah, it was dope that they went there because now you saw Black Panther do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I didn't... This is to go off on a tangent, but I didn't realize that his suit was CG.
I read that.
In Civil War, even though the actor was wearing the physical suit during the fight scene.
Yeah.
So I was like, why didn't they just use CG to hide seam lines?
Well, I think they wanted the vibranium look, you know, and that's why they just went over the suit that the dude already had on.
That makes it look fake. Like that, you can tell when he does the triple jump kick. It looks so like Tekken.
It's weird, but the stuntman
really
did it.
Yeah, I saw the behind the scenes and I saw it without the CG, and I'm like, it still looks amazing. Why don't you just I don't know. That's a strange thing to me that they did. You know, I get it for Iron Man, but I don't get it for Black Panther. But
there was a couple shots in there. It looked a little hokey looking, but for me, man, Blade 2, it just improved like in all areas. The fight scenes,
oh my god,
much more improved.
Donnie Yen.
You take that beginning sequence in the rave club, and then you compare it to the scene in the where I forgot where they were, in Moscow.
Yeah,
man, when he's fighting the guys, and he stabs the one guy with the thing, and he's burning up. And he hits him, and he comes back, and he takes his stake and stabs him. That was so.
And the way he grabbed his arm, spun him around, put him up against him, I was like, wow, slapped him, then he hit him and paused. He was like, ugh. It was so good, man.
I think that was one of the best choreography collaborations between Ward and Donnie Yen. That I've seen in like movies. Period.
What else did the two of them work on together? Ward and Donnie Yen, because I don't think they've worked together on anything.
No, I can't think of anything that they worked.
But it was a good collaboration because you got to see like before Chuck Jeffries and Jeff Ward, they put all the styles together, so it didn't feel like he was using separate. It didn't feel like when you play Tekken,
he had his own style.
Yeah, you know, like when you play Tekken Tag 2 as Unknown and you switch styles. You could do a combo and then, in Muay Thai, then switch to JKD and then switch to wrestling and then switch. Literally, that's the way Blade fought in part 2. Because, if you watch the commentary, as he's doing the moves and going through the combos, Wesley Snipes Snipes is saying, Silat. Then he'd be like, Muay Thai. Then he's like, Kempo. And he's telling you where these things are coming from. And then you start to see it as the rest of the film goes by. You're like, damn, he's using very specific styles, because you always hear superheroes are trained in every martial art on the planet. Well, get the fuck out of here. You could be trained in a bunch of them, but with Blade, you actually saw a person who they had training in several different forms, and they were able to use it. Part 2, I don't know. It's weird, man. Part 2, the whole Aliens vibe. You know what I mean? Like
horror movie.
It's like the horror movie where we give you a whole bunch of characters you know they exist only to get killed off.
That was my biggest gripe with that film.
That's
what they were going for.
I know, but
yeah, that's the only gripe I had. I wanted to see each of them really represent fighting Blade.
I didn't like them, man.
The blood pack?
I didn't like the blood pack.
They felt like they came straight out of a video game.
I didn't like
but I felt like they should have been they should have been there for the sole purpose to hound Blade throughout the fucking movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then Blade then he's fighting them and fighting the Reapers.
Yeah.
And you see, like, this is why Blade is the goddamn boogeyman for vampires.
Yeah.
Because they had to hide their little hideouts because they were afraid of him finding out and coming there and murking them all.
Yeah. But I'll give him this. Like I said, the action was dope. The story was actually not bad. It wasn't altogether like, super mind-blowing or something.
It's better than the first one, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was more story. You got to see more of that world like I was talking about. Because that's important when you're doing, like, a hunter. You need to build the world that the hunter exists in, and you got to set up the rules and show how does he do what he does? Are there safe houses? Are there other people that help him? Are there, I don't know, rules that the bad guys actually live by? Shit like that. The gripe I do have is the whole handling Whistler. That's been my gripe ever, like, through the whole series. You kill Whistler, then they bit him and left him alive, and then I'm like, but Blade shot him gave him the gun, and you heard him. I mean, you didn't see it, but you heard him shoot himself, and Blade's gun is all silver bullets, silver nitrate or whatever. So he's gonna, if anything he shoots is gonna die.
What did he miss?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what the fuck? Like, and then they brought him back to life, and I love Chris Christopherson. I know we didn't mention him in the first part. We should have. He was dope because Whistler was completely dope, and I think Whistler is not. He's original to the series, to the movies, and after the movies, they made him a character in the comics.
There's a character. I read this on Wikipedia.
Van Helsing, or not Van Helsing. Frank Drake.
Nah, he has like a Arabic or African name, man. If you get a chance, once we get done, get on Wikipedia, man.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, Blade was trained by this jazz musician.
Huh?
Yeah. Check it out when you get a chance, man.
Is that a newer story?
No, it's the old story. It's the old story.
Huh?
That's originally how it happened.
Huh.
He was fighting some.
The 70s version of
Blade.
Blade.
Okay, gotcha. This older guy was a vampire hunter, and he was fighting some vampires, and Blade saved him. Helped him and saved him.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of took him under his wing and started training him. And so I think that's
where the Whistler idea
came from or whatever. But
I love Whistler though, man.
Yeah, I like Whistler.
Your fucking nipple head.
What y'all think about Scud?
Ugh. He was kind of like, you could tell they were just trying to throw in a younger somebody to play off of Blade. But I like the fact that the character ended up kind of turning on him,
mm-hmm.
and we didn't necessarily think throughout the film, it didn't feel like that was what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was dope that when it did happen, Blade was like, yeah, I knew that shit. Like,
yeah.
I knew it since they turned you. And you're like, wait, what?
Right.
Like, Blade really is the damn boogeyman.
Right.
Like, I don't know. That it was satisfying when he killed him off, because it's like, damn, what'd you turn on him for? And then he just blew his ass up. It was dope.
I did laugh when he asked him if he wanted to smoke some weed. He was like, later.
All right. What do you say? You want to take a toke of a spliff of the toke choke or something like that? Yeah.
Later. Maybe later.
Yeah. Later.
But yeah, man. One thing I didn't like, I wanted to see the one Karen Jensen. I wanted to see her come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hated the way that they just like
kind of wrote her out, but like
and then they
forgot about her contribution. Like,
because Blade was like nice, like he had never heard of EDTA.
Yeah.
He's like, that saved your life.
Right, this is anticoagulant, Blade, and this and do that. And he's like,
like nice. That's some good shit.
I'm like, what?
Like, you're a smart
Goyer,
kid,
man.
This don't even make any sense, man.
David
I'm
Goyer.
like, bro, what are you doing, bro? This is just...
And you could tell that was the stuff that David Goyer did that they didn't really check. You know what I'm saying? Like, for all the things that Del Toro did check and did, like, pull the reins back on Goyer, he should have been checking those kind of
major
things,
oversight. Like, bro, you can't make a mistake like that. I tell you what I thought would have been interesting too, because I really liked the Nomad character,
cool.
the whole Reaper strain. What I thought would have been cool would have been if the truth was that the Reapers could only feed on vampires. That they pose no threat to humans, and the vampires were lying to them. Lying to Blade.
Yeah.
Because you kind of see that. You kind of see Nomad kind of hinting at that, but like, man, why are you fighting me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like these ones either. You know what I mean? Let's go get him. You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
He was constantly trying to, and he kind of had this tragic whole. He was a dope character. He had some complexity to him, man. I thought he was real dope.
Yeah.
To me, he wasn't as, in terms of dialogue heavy or real cerebral as Deacon Frost.
No.
Physically, he was an adequate opponent for Blade.
Oh yeah,
I felt like
what we get with the Marvel movies now, where the villains are kind of meh. They have one or two good scenes,
right?
Or they turn good, like the Winter Soldier. You had like fucking Nomad. I mean, that fight when he hit Blade with that uppercut and Blade flew back in slow motion, like what the fuck just happened? And then he hit the wall and landed. It was like we had never seen fights like that from American cinema. Like nothing, no movie had a fight like that.
They stepped it up.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't until I want to say Underworld, the first Underworld, kind of did something similar with their end fight when Victor showed up. He was just slapping werewolves and they were dead. Head was all split open. Shush.
Let me real quick before I forget. Let me go off. Have either of you seen that show, The Strain?
No.
I watched an episode.
Bro, I hear it's good, but
I heard mixed things. People said like parts of the first season were real good, and then like later on it goes off on some weird kind of tangent, and then it gets really kind of meh.
This dude, because Del Toro wrote
Yeah.
Strain. Bro, when I tell you this dude just cannibalized all of this stuff from Blade 2 and put it in this movie.
That's what it looked like. Because I couldn't tell what it was. I couldn't tell. I was like, is it about vampires or demons or, viral, like a strain of a viral infection that like changed? I couldn't really, They're
vampires, but they look just like the Reapers.
Like the Reapers,
come out of their mouth. You got an old vampire hunter named Abraham. His name is Abraham Satrakian, not Abraham Whistler. And I'm going to go ahead and get us away, because I don't get the impression y'all going to watch this no time soon. There's literally a daywalker in there.
Get out of here.
There's literally a guy that's half human and half vampire.
But this dude's white.
Yeah.
Of course.
I said, bro.
Of course.
I said, God, how is there not a lawsuit going on here?
Nobody cares about Blade. That's the problem.
Wow, man.
That's the problem.
Deep.
But Wesley Snipes jacked up that series so bad with his negligent attitude that people don't give a shit.
I mean, fans give a shit.
No, but I mean, the fans can want everything from now till next year, but the studios, they're like, we don't want to mess with Wesley Snipes anymore. He's gonna come to the set high with a trail of weed and entourage.
I don't think he does that no more. But
he can't do it anymore. He's trying to get. He's trying to get work.
Yeah, he's trying to get work now. So
back then, though, I mean, and it's funny because like how you hear a lot of things about certain actors. And it's always different depending on who tells the story. Wesley Snipes, everybody that I've heard stories about, from Triple H to fucking Patton Oswalt to who was the other person that told some good story? One of the stuntmen, actually. There's a video on YouTube with him talking about. He was on the set of Blade 2. It's the guy it was Wesley's stunt double.
Yeah,
and he was talking about there was like
Clay,
all kinds of there was like beef between Wesley and some of the other folks because he would show up late and stuff like that. I'm like, damn, every story fits perfectly. Yeah. Like nobody is off. So
I never heard about any stories with him in like Rising Sun or the Fan.
I should say that story. We coming to it, boy. Man, we coming to it, man. Blade 3. Oh my god.
What? The who? That movie does not exist. I'm telling you, man. I have to dig back into those memories though. But I'll say this, too, with Blade 2, because you saw that Blade 1 was a sleeper hit, and it made a shitload of money. I'm not even getting to the figures, even though we got the figures out, like, right there. But Blade 2 came out, and it wasn't a sleeper, and it made even more money, which it was like, wow, Blade is viable. And you see elements of what Blade 2 is doing, you're seeing that shit even now, because the Captain America movies, some of the way they handle the fight choreography, the way that it's like fast-paced. I mean, they give you that long exposition somewhere in the beginning of the film. They give you all this exposition about what's going on, who's doing what, because there was a lot of facets to the plot of who's double-crossing who works for who created this thing.
It was a lot like Aliens, man.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Scud was Ash.
Yeah.
In Alien, you know.
Yeah.
The android that went crazy, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Double crossing.
Exactly.
Same kind of feel.
Same kind of feel. And
even
then
that sequence when they're in the tunnels and all those Reapers are coming and he's very alien feeling.
You obviously do not know who you are fucking with.
Right. Oh, that was very alien.
Yeah, it was. You're right.
Aliens.
And they mentioned that too. They said, I mean, that's what they said they were going for.
Yeah.
I just like we said earlier, I wish that you got to see him and like Lionheart throw down, him and
Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen, Snowman. Like I would have loved to see them go back and forth.
That was my whole reason for being to go see that movie, because I was like Donnie Yen and Wesley Snipes in the movie. Oh my god, I got to see this.
So we need to dig as much as we can to find if there's footage of the sparring session.
I doubt it.
So
because he only talked about it that one time on that DVD with Robin Shue, and that's the only time. Yeah, he said Wesley Snipes was the greatest American martial artist he'd ever met, which to me says they sparred and Donnie lost.
Yeah, Donnie got his ass. He didn't fight. He got his ass whooped. Well, a stuntman talked about it too. I think it's the same guy I was talking about before that played. It was Wesley's stuntman.
Clay.
I gotta find it, man, because one day I wasn't even looking for it. I just saw Blade. But I was like, that doesn't look like Wesley Snipes. But the suit looked official, so I was like, that's got to be
he looks a lot like
from
Wesley.
From the actual set. And then it was them talking to him, and at first he was imitating Wesley, trying to talk like he was Blade. Then he was like, nah, and he started laughing, and he just spilled all this information about them fighting. And he said Wesley broke what's his name down. He broke Donnie Yen down. Donnie Yen was throwing these flashy kicks, and it looked nice, but Wesley just grappled his ass. Like, he didn't even bother trading kicks and stuff. He just grabbed him and put him down, and Donnie Yen just was like, what the fuck? And it all came from Donnie Yen saying that when he read the script, he was not going to lose to anyone because that person couldn't beat him in real life.
Yeah.
Because that was back when he was on his I'm the second coming of Bruce Lee bullshit.
Yeah, okay.
And now, if you notice, I mean, now more so now than back then, you could say that about Donnie Yen.
Yeah.
Because now Donnie Yen is really showing his chops with his acting and his martial arts as well, because he's like one of the only guys in Hong Kong really doing it, you know?
Plus, after Blade 2, he got hardcore into MMA and grappling and whatnot, started to incorporate it into his choreography a lot more. And it was all because of him
fighting Wesley Snipes.
I'd have never known that. I want to see that interview, man.
Yeah.
But that sequence at the end, man, when he comes about the blood,
oh my God,
man, he was giving him that work, man.
Yeah,
he was giving him that work.
Yep.
And again, he just took kind of what he was doing in the first film and just amped it up.
Yep.
I mean,
it was
he's
like
doing
a screamer on crack.
He's doing the Kali. He's doing WWF.
Record
slams. All of it worked, man.
Yeah.
I was like, this is ridiculous, man.
Yeah, it was good. It was real good. Real good. And then the fight with Nomad.
Nomad. Because I thought it was going to fall off after that. I'm like, the fight with Nomad going to be whack.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was good.
No.
I love how they took, people say fights are gritty and stuff now, and I don't buy it. Not compared to this. The way, like, they clashed, they, like, ran into each other, and they were, like, grabbing at each other, grabbing each other and just hitting in the chest, just these body blows, the way you would do in reality.
Somebody like that, man.
Yeah, it was like, I'm just going to give it to you. And then the way that Nomak was just shrugging off so much of Blade's, like, moves you saw Blade decimate other people with, Nomak was just taking it like, what's going on? Come at me, bro.
Like, he broke his arm and
popped his arm back together.
Yeah, it's one of those times where you actually have antagonist who's every bit the protagonist, equal, and it's not just because it's written that he's the equal. He actually is a physically imposing presence. Yeah,
he definitely he definitely met his match in that one. I love that fight scene, man.
Now the only fight scene I did not like is the one when he was fighting with those two things. He was
on top of the
and he was like, what is going on, man?
Yeah, I agree.
They were on the catwalk and he jumped up
and
he jumped and you could see someone pull the wire and he was like, I'm like, man, get out of here with that shit. It was the one fight in the whole film that just did not work.
It was too kung fu.
And then they were falling and he was like, and he was punching as they were falling down through all the wood. You know what I'm talking about? Man, it just looked so booty. I was like, oh, man. This is not... I always fast forward through that part.
It was kind of kung fu. Man.
Like, not even in a good way. Like that, it was like situation kung fu, and that's not Blade, you know?
Yeah.
But Blade 2 is still a good movie. I'm not even going to diss it.
Sure,
it had some things that were weird and things that, like, you know, work better than other things, but... Overall, it was fucking dope.
And the score, that's one of my favorite movie scores. Ramen Jawadi or whatever.
Marco Beltrami did it. Yeah, he killed it. And it had that swanky ass intro.
Yeah, that
with
they
the
never used
trumpet.
again.
Oh yeah. And the motorcycle and all. Yeah.
Boom, bow, bow, bow. That damn bass line, man. Yeah, that was dope. I mean, at first I didn't like it because I was like, man, this sounds like some blaxploitation shit, you know. And then the more I listened to it, I was like, you know what? Blade is kind of cool and like kind of smooth, but at the same time, he's a badass, and that's what it sounded like, you know. So and it's a different kind of badass. You don't sound like, you know, fucking Charles Bronson or something. You know, he sounded like his own thing. So I liked it.
I also liked that they didn't force the romantic angle between him and Nisa.
Yeah.
Because they actually, you know, they had filmed shit. They had actually filmed, like...
Yeah, that scene where he was in his smoker jacket.
Yeah,
like,
after the sex.
I was like, are you serious? He was like sitting there putting guns together in his smoker jacket and she walked up and I'm like, what just happened? Like, what? Man, yeah, I'm glad they cut that crap out. I'm so glad they cut that out, man.
And a lot of lines in there, like, you're one hillbilly cunt hair from heaven or some shit.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they cut, like, Del Toro did a good job of cutting out all the dumb shit.
Yeah, there was some dumb shit. Yeah, Chupa. Chupa was funny as hell because that's, what is the dude's name? He was in the transporter. He's the guy who gives the transporter the big job that, you know, all the shit goes to hell with the girl in the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
Dwight Schultz is the name of the actor.
No, he was in Blade 1, though.
Yeah, he was. He's the dude with the pig sticker. I've got his pig sticker.
Yeah, he said he just gained some weight.
He gained a whole bunch of muscle, they said. Yeah. It's just funny seeing all these guys. And he was the main villain in Torque. You know, I love that movie. I love that damn movie. It's so bad, but it's so much fun. But, yeah, it was just cool. I don't know what else to say. It was cool. And it did things so different from what we're used to seeing. I mean, even though it borrowed from other stuff. Like, I wish they could have let Del Toro do another one.
I think he didn't want to do it, man.
Yeah.
I heard he turned it down, man.
Maybe Marvel is just difficult. At the time, it was probably difficult to work with.
If he had Perlmutter still working there.
Yeah.
At the time, then
Well, Perlmutter's still there. He just is no longer in charge of the films.
Yeah, well, I mean, like...
Disney was like, no, I have spoken.
Oh, no. Just start slapping them.
I know, right? Like, whoever the CEO of Disney is just some guy with a giant Mickey Mouse head, wearing a suit, like a really expensive suit. Still, he speaks in the Mickey Mouse voice. Yeah, man. Like, Kevin Feige is doing, I don't know, he's doing wonders, working wonders with Marvel's cinematic universe. I just hope that they somehow go back and get Blade. We need that shit.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. I don't think it's gonna happen, bro.
So we gotta go into the one that does not exist. Making me dig up painful memories, man.
Now what I will say.
Let's talk about the show first. Because you watched the show. You want to
talk about the show now or after?
Let's do it after.
Yeah, let's do it after. Yeah.
What I will say in David Goyer's defense, man, is that originally what he wanted to do with the third one was
it I Am Legend, right?
Yeah. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to do where the vampires won. Same idea he had back in the first one. The vampires won, and this Blade kind of on some Mad Max, you know.
That would have been dope. When you think about it, it would have been dope.
Yeah, but the studio was like, nah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So he came up with this terrible, terrible story.
Oh, my God. And you know what's painful is if you ever go back and read Night Stalkers, it's not a bad book. I mean, it's 90s as fuck because it took place in the 90s, but like the stuff they did, the characters, Hannibal King being a vampire who has the link directly to Dracula, and he was controlling his vampirism. So, like, in the comics, he was still a vampire. Pale face, fangs, the whole nine. He even wore a cape and shit. Like, he was straight up old school vampire, but the only thing he used his vampirism for was to help them track Dracula. That's what made him special. That was his purpose. Frank Drake was like, how did Frank Drake? He was a vampire hunter as well. And he was a badass. He had this crazy stake shooting gun type deal. And then, of course, you had Blade. I don't know. It was just it's so different. It's weird that they fucked it up so. Man, how do you fuck it up so bad?
He has, for whatever reason, Goyer had, after maybe the second film, he had this obsession with trying to do these spin-offs of Blade.
Yeah, where Blade is, he's like a second-class citizen.
In it. Yeah. In one, after Blade 3 flop, there was talk of him doing a fourth Blade film featuring Deacon Frost. I'm like a prequel.
Deacon Frost is dead.
I'm like, a prequel. But I'm like, who wants to see that shit, man? What are you talking about, man?
Yeah, exactly.
Who wants to see that?
Yeah.
They didn't even like, when they screen tested Blade Trinity, they had to put Blade back in the movie at the end because he killed him off. Yeah. And the fans didn't like it.
Yeah, this ending where her.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
The werewolf bear thing.
Oh yeah, the casino.
God, that was so bad.
Said, man, are you
and there's so many bad things about that film.
So the movie that does not exist. This is what we've called it because man, I almost walked out of it when we saw it in the theater. I swear, I tried my best to be strong, and then when Dracula was dressed in his Abercrombie and Fitch costume or his Gucci shoes and shit with his leather pants, and he's walking in slow motion. Yeah, I was like, "Are you serious?" And then he went into the tattoo shop and was biting the chicks, and I was like, "Man,
he was running from Blade."
Yeah, I'm like, I have to go. Like, I have to go. I can't do this. And Phil was like, "You were like, no, man." You're like, you paid for it, man. Just stay. I was so mad. I wanted to leave. I was like, this is Dracula? Like, Dracula is one of the most recognizable names. When you think of movie monsters, we think of mythology. He's one of those recognizable characters who you can't really go too far off the beaten path with, or else you end up with that.
Yeah.
Like, when he transformed into his true form and his pants were still leather and nice, and his shoes, his pointy long-ass shoes were still nice and leathery and clean. I'm like, dude, you turned into a monster. Just go with it. Pants ripped, everything. Just be a monster. Why did he even have a second form? Why does Dracula need a second form?
Hell, when he crawled out of that, when they found him in the desert and he crawled out and he had the armor on and shit, I was like, all right, this might be something. And then it went downhill right after that, almost immediately.
One of my biggest problems with that film, man, was, like I said, I was going to come back to this. Blade is a half man, half vampire.
Yep.
He's just as strong as them, That's why he can fight the vampire.
Exactly. That's why he can kick their behinds and they go flying.
Exactly. But you just defecate on all that.
Exactly.
By having this chick and this dude who are not vampires beating up vampire. I'm like, man, this is dumb. This is dumb. There's not even a fight between her and a vampire.
Exactly.
And them gaudy weapons he had, them stupid
the electronic guns with a camera on them. Why?
Or that laser bow.
I'm like, what is this?
The arc? Yeah.
It's 10 times hotter than the sun. I said, man, talk about impractical, man. Just a big. I said, man.
It would have been a matter of time before somebody would have grabbed that shit and turned it on her.
Yeah.
Which is what I was wishing would happen.
It was dumb. There's a lot of dumb shit in there.
And they tried to make her all badass, like, oh, she likes to listen to music. She has her own iPod playlist. While she's fighting vampires. Like, you can't be that dope.
Oh, man.
Well, like,
to be listening to music while you're beating up vampires. Blade can, but not her.
But here's the thing, right? If you had cast someone like Lu Shajiang, who can pull off moves that normal people can't do, we'd be like, oh, shit. She is that badass, right? Or if you cast Jet Li as Hannibal King, I'd be like, oh.
There was talk of him being Deacon Frost back in the first film.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would have been crazy. But like, you know, if you did that, then I'd be like, okay, they're official, good. And if they have good, like, get Corey Wen to do just their choreography, so that you can they do stuff that's on the level that Blade is on. Because you got to think, Blade's superhuman, and then he trains.
Yeah.
That's like Goku in fucking Dragon Ball Z. Like, he's superhuman, and then he pushes himself and trains in martial arts on top of it. So not only is he already on the same level, but he's past the average vampires because he's a superhuman martial artist. So the Night Stalkers would have had to be on, like, the next fucking level from human being. They got to be on some Batman shit in order to be able to do what they were doing. And that was just... Oh, God. Now you see why I have problems believing this movie actually exists. I feel like
I was hurt.
It's a fever dream, or it was like
hurt,
it was one of those nights we went on partying on OSU campus, and I just drunk this shit when I was kind of drunk. Because, like, I can't believe, like, the premise is that the Vampire Nation frames Blade by having him hunt down a human pretending to be a vampire. There's a line in the first movie where, well, an exchange where Blade is talking to Karen Jensen, and she says, how do you know which ones are, you know, them? And he says, I can tell by the way they move, by the way they look, by the way they smell. How the fuck 3 movies... Yeah. How the fuck do we get 3 movies later, and he's mistaking a human being wearing caps, fucking fang caps on his teeth?
Shut your dumb ass up.
How the fuck?
I said, man.
How the hell?
Wow,
How
man.
the hell? Like, I just don't understand. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, man, you're absolutely right, man. It just that chick, man. I don't know what her name was.
Jessica Biel.
Posey? No.
Oh, Parker Posey. God, she was annoying. I will say that Ryan Reynolds had the best line in the movie, though. You know what I'm talking about? When he said, why don't you take a sugar-frosted fuck off the tip of my dick? I was like, what?
He was basically Deadpool in that
Yeah,
movie.
Exactly.
Thunder cunt. I forgot what
I know what he said. Yeah, that shit was funny, man. That exchange between the two of them. But he did, like, he played himself with muscles in Blade.
Yeah.
He didn't play Hannibal King. And then they threw in the line about him curing his own vampirism. And it was like, that guy can't cure his own fucking vampirism. That guy has no self-control. You just listen to him talk. And then there was the other line where it's like another exchange. They're like, Blade, what are you going to do when it's all over? You know, somehow I don't see you teaching karate at the local Y. And Blade was like, the fuck is wrong with you people? What is this? Fuck you. Fuck you. This shit ain't tactical. I was like, what? Why can't we get more of that?
This is a fucking joke.
I know, this shit ain't no game. I'm like, wow. Yes, that's what I wanted to see. But,
that
you know,
was method acting.
That was real.
Yeah,
that was actually real. It probably was more to that tirade.
Yeah, probably.
They just cut it off and used what they could use. But yeah, there was so much that just was so like there were no defenses at the HQ of the Night Stalkers. Mm-hmm. You got a blind chick running the computers. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, you couldn't just have an extra person with, even if she's the brains. And I could buy it. She could be the brains. But couldn't there be someone working with her that, like, or did she have someone at some point?
No, I don't think she did.
Like, she should have had someone like an assistant or somebody that helps do stuff so the two of them together create all the shit. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't make any sense to me, man. I'm like, oh.
And you could tell Whistler just didn't want to be in that movie.
Oh, my God.
All his
Blade,
lines was just...
It hurts my heart.
Yeah.
He said, I see you alone.
It's hard to be there.
I see you alone, surrounded by enemies. I was like, oh. And you know what's funny is that we have, I don't know how many times we've talked about this movie to other people, and they're like, I liked it.
Yeah, I
don't know. Come on, man. Like, you clearly don't understand what makes a good, you just like being entertained. This is why I say that, because there's nothing good about this. Even the choreography. There were some little moments where it was like, damn, that actually looked kind of slick.
And it probably wasn't even Wesley Snipes. It was a stunt double.
Yeah, I know, because they said Wesley was just not there most of the time. Like, in the intro, when he did all that shit with that, the knife on the whip.
Yeah.
That was cool. When he whipped the dude real quick, spun the thing around, whipped the other guy, spun around, and then hit it, and it came back up in his sleeve, and the screen paused. You know what I mean? Like, that was cool. Or like the scene when they were when they broke Blade out of the FBI or whoever jail, that was kind of cool how he just jumped up into the what you call it system, the ventilation system, and then came out somewhere else, and you just see guys going flying. And then at the end, when I think, didn't they blow up that floor? They like blew it up. And
because he came jumping out of the explosion.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But like everything else, man, like that opening stupid ass chase sequence, garbage, hot garbage.
Oh yeah, where his car came out of the truck.
Yeah, and then like he killed the dude on the windshield, and then turned on the windshield wipers to wipe the ash off. Yeah. I was like, David Goyer thought that shit was so badass that
your boy right there.
Yeah, get that shit out of here, man.
I like how when the car came out of the trailer, it immediately cut as soon as it hit the ground.
Yeah, because you know, flipped up.
when they show you in the deleted scenes, it came out and just landed. It didn't move. You see all this fluid just come out of the bottom of that car. Like that car was
fluid, gasoline, flame, whoosh, it was done. Yeah, man. I was like, they don't even do that in Knight Rider. It always rides up into the car and it rides down off the ramps out of the truck. It doesn't just come flying out the car. No fucking reason. None whatsoever. Yeah, it felt like, you know how teenagers will talk about some shit being badass, or bros. They'll be like, dude, that movie was so bad. Fight Club has the best fight scenes ever. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Do you know what a fight scene is? Like, no. It felt like that. Because, I mean, Blade just did shit to do shit. Things happen just because. I mean, they even had the obligatory crying in the shower scene because you had a
use it.
I know, right? Use it. Like, it was just like, ugh. You mean, remember Hellboy even made fun of that shit? Where he had the Tecate, the beers, and he just cracked the beer open with his hand on the wall, big ass hand on the wall, while he's drinking in the shower. I was rolling like, that is fucking hilarious, and you should not do that in a movie trying to be dramatic ever. It shouldn't be done. And then we can't. Oh Lord, the fight between Dracula and Blade.
Before you get to that though, it was hard for me to enjoy the fight at the end because I saw a cut where somebody took out all the Hannibal King stuff and all her stuff and just focused on Blade. When they rescue him when he rescues Hannibal King, a lot of that stuff is his stunt double, but not even the fighting part. When he's like shooting them with the guns and stuff, he grabbed the dude, spun him around and hit him when he's walking up the steps and throwing it. That stuff was slick, man. I thought that was pretty like I said, dope, man.
Yeah, there were moments where you're like, okay, I see where you're going, but his suit looked bad, his haircut looked terrible. I mean, like,
it was just bad, man.
Man.
Yeah, and that fight with Dracula was just
like, what the fuck? It looked like some Errol Flynn type
ready
shit.
To die.
I was born ready, motherfucker.
No, you gotta say it dry as like Blade. Ready to die. Like there was no kind of acting on dude's part. Because if you listen to the soundtrack, they have the sample in it. And I'm just like, man, like who did they get to act that? Like why did? Like that's when the director comes in and is like, cut. Like, no.
Do that shit again till you get it right, man.
Well, you're fired.
And it's funny because Dominic Purcell is a better actor than that. Because even on Legends of Tomorrow, he's much better. Even on fucking Prison Break, he was much better.
Does he always talk like that?
Somewhat. Remember he was on that show Invincible that Jet Li produced? You and we watched the first episode of that because it only ran for like, or was it? It was like 3 episodes or 4 episodes.
That other dude, man, they talk like that. It just
Snart. I love the way Snart talks.
You dumbass motherfucker! You thought you were so fucking smart, didn't you? Yeah, but he doesn't usually talk like that other stuff. But yeah, I love his character because that's not what I pictured Captain Cold to talk like, though. You know, like I always pictured more what he sounded like in cartoons and shit, you know? But yeah, dude, there was just no direction. There was no understanding of how to build tension in the scenes. Nothing felt like something bad was going to happen. And then let's not even talk about Triple H. What the fuck? All he had to do was be a thug, and he couldn't even do that right.
All I remember was him running, and it looked really, really comical because his vest was bouncing up and down while he was running.
And even Triple H had stories about Wesley being a dick. Hitting him for real and stuff. I was like, wow.
Yeah, he said, I remember I was listening to Howard Stern show, man.
Yeah.
Back in the day. And he happened to be on there and he was talking about he's like, Snipes, man, was just out of control, man. He was kicking the stunt guys, and guys were beating these guys up. Guys were bleeding and stuff. Yeah, said he threatened David Goyer.
Yeah, he said he spit on him. He said he was gonna kill him. I'm like, whoa.
I said, wow. He's like, Howard Stern. He's like, did he do that to you? He's like, listen, man. I was like, Kung Fu. He's like, listen, he didn't do that to me. He said if he even came close to kicking me or hitting me, he apologized to me. But the mother guys,
probably hit him back.
The mother guys, he was beating the brakes off of him, man.
Chopping Wesley Snipes.
And that's my thing.
Like,
that's my thing about it. I'm like,
fucking put the pedigree on Wesley Snipes.
Look, man. I see.
Oh God.
We see this. We saw the finished product of this film. How bad it was.
Oh.
We saw what he was trying to do. I don't know why. Trying to minimize Blade's role.
It makes no sense.
So I can see why he was mad.
So that's why he was mad. He was mad. But my thing, I guess, if I ever had a chance to ask Wesley, would be, man, why did you agree to do the movie, man?
Exactly.
Like, why
pull
would
out
you?
Of that shit.
Pull out of it. They can't make the movie without you.
I need the money.
You know? Why did you agree to do the movie? And then, if you're gonna commit to doing the movie, man, be a professional, man.
Yeah.
Handle it afterwards, man. Don't be like. I was listening to the director's commentary, and there's a scene at the end where Blade is in the, he's like, I don't know, like he's in not a morgue.
The morgue?
The morgue.
Yeah.
And David Goyer was like, so in this scene, we had to take the stunt guy, we had to digitally put his eyes over Wesley's because Wesley wouldn't open his eyes. And Ryan Reynolds was like, why not? He's like, he just wouldn't do it.
It's sad, man.
He said it was another scene where they go to rescue him, and they were all supposed to go out together.
Uh-huh.
Snipes was like, nah, I'm going out. I'm coming out on my own.
Uh-huh.
So that's why Snipe goes around or goes back up, and then he comes out on his own. But he was just being a dickhead.
I remember, there's that shot in the movie where they're all on motorcycles. He just pops a wheel and just is gone because he rides bikes for real. They're all sitting there posing, but you could just tell throughout the film he didn't give a fuck. Yeah, it was like fuck this team.
And it's messed up because of the bunch. He can do the most. It's not like he's not a bad dramatic actor. It's not like he's a bad fighter. It's not like he didn't build Blade, the character that we now are all here to see. So how the fuck do you make him take a back seat? I mean, forget the fact that you had issues with the character. Or with the actor, think about the character. It's called Blade Trinity. It's the third Blade film. Make it about Blade, I don't know. There was so much wrong with that film that it's just so difficult to believe that it actually got
I don't know how Goyer thought he could do a Night Stalker spinoff with those characters.
Right.
And people actually would be invested enough to want to go see it. Like with the way, even just with the way he portrayed, because they were all playing ball. And I was like, and if that's your idea of what the Night Stalkers are, count me the fuck out.
Right.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to see that shit, man.
And the crazy thing is that movie made money. Blade 3 made money.
It was gonna make money because everybody was anticipating Blade 2. So.
Yeah.
But anybody got anything else about Blade
3? Yeah, fuck that movie.
Fuck that movie.
So man,
because I watched most of the House of Shit on too.
So you did?
Yeah.
I rented it. I only got
hurt
through
me,
a
man.
portion of it.
I have most of it on DVD.
Yeah, I watched only a portion of it.
The first where they blew it is the casting.
Oh my God.
Why? And let me say this in his defense. He's actually
He's not bad.
He's actually an okay actor. Believe it or not. Just not for this.
You talking about crazy? I mean,
Sticky Fingers. Kirk Sticky Jones.
Honest! I know, right?
He's
I'm
actually
a B-boy. Standing in my B-boy stance. Give me the microphone before I busted my pants.
He's actually a halfway decent actor, man.
Yeah.
But what time is it?
when they told me, man, when I read that, because I was before this thing dropped, I was into it. They had a message board. David Goyer was on the message board.
Yeah, I remember
talking about the film and stuff. And man, when I read that Michael Jai White auditioned for this role and they didn't give it to him, I said, man, are you?
Yeah, like what the fuck?
What were you think? What were you thinking, man?
Cocaine them.
I know, right?
In a way, though, it's good because they wouldn't have done anything with him. He'd just been there.
Yeah, because that's kind of how Blade was in the series. He would just show up
like
every now and then.
His little henchman team, the little Asian dude and the girl, they were doing more shit than Blade in that show.
That's true.
And that's what kind of I had to stop watching the show.
I finished it, man. I had to, and that was.
Wait, why did you finish?
I had to finish it. Bro.
Why?
You were hate watching it.
Blade.
You were hate watching that shit.
I knew this was it.
You said I needed
about the third episode in. I said, then this is done. This series is done.
Yeah.
But like I said, David Goyer has this weird kind of thing about writing Blade out of his own story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because like y'all watch some of it, man. Their episodes.
Yeah,
I don't want to say Blade. I don't want to say Blade wasn't in it, but I mean, I'm talking. He had maybe a minute of screen time. Yeah. And the rest of it is this chick Krista and all this. And I'm like, why would you do this, man?
And there was so much exposition about the vampires themselves, and there's all this backstory and history, like all the way going back into like colonial Native American times and shit. And I'm like, you're fleshing all this shit out, but where the fuck is Blade? Like, I came to see Blade.
Right. Now, what I will say is, that stuff was very good.
It was.
Yeah.
That character, that Marcus Van Sciver, very well developed. There's a character at the end. She's a little girl. She got turned or something when she was a kid.
A little girl. Yeah. Wasn't he protecting her or something or working with her?
There was like a power struggle between them. I think she was a pure blood or something was going on. She was dope. That whole...
But little kid vampires scared the shit out of me. I'm serious. Since fucking, what's her name? Mary Jane? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
In Interview with a Vampire, she freaked me out. Oh, my God.
Louis. But it's like, man, listen. You had this whole plot with Blade as a kid, which I thought was interesting. They had Richard Roundtree playing his dad. It was interesting, but then here we go again with David Goyer not respecting his own canon, man.
Yeah.
In the movies, because this is supposed to be connected to the movies.
Exactly.
In the movies, Whistler finds him on the street feeding on the homeless. In the show, Blade's father invites Whistler into the house because and some of the dialogue, bro. I'm still gonna send you the episode. It's so corny in there, man.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was about to say, I know you didn't.
I forgot to send it to you, man.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was in the show, Blade hooked up with this gang. Like he was like when he ran away from home, this gang took him in. He ended up biting him and turning him. And I always thought that was interesting. Like
the whole
Blade,
gang.
Yeah. Some kind of he was feeding on him. What I forgot how to explain it, but like does Blade have a bite? And he does. But I was like, okay, so does Blade make more daywalkers?
Yeah.
They're just regular. It was just regular vampires.
Oh, okay.
But they were called the Bad Bloods or something like that. Bokeem Woodbine played this character named Steppin' Razor or something like that.
Fuck is a Steppin' Razor?
I don't know. That was just his name, Steppin' Razor.
You're trying too hard.
Steppin' Razor. But the whole thing with his dad and his mom.
No black man would ever name himself. no.
The whole thing with his dad.
It's like a band, heavy metal, like a metal hair band or some shit.
Steppin'
Razor. I know, right?
Steppin' Razor. If I'm not mistaken, that was his name. Steppin' Razor. But they had kind of a cool fight scene, man. I mean, it wasn't anything like,
to write home about. I know what you mean.
Yeah, man, that's what really hurt Blade the series was the action, man. Listen, you can't have a guy that can't really fight that well, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff was hard to watch, man.
And they didn't even have, like, a good stunt double for him either. Like, even Buffy had a dope stunt double. What the fuck? Like, you couldn't give Blade one?
Yeah, I mean, he's a big, light-skinned dude with shades. I mean, put the shades on him, man. Towards the end, it got better. Yeah. But by that time,
I had already given
it was too late, man. It was too late, and then they canceled it. I'm like, bro, you had another chance here to start over, something fresh, something new, and you blew it. When nobody, because I think Snipes was in jail, but it's like, man, you could have went with a better person, man. But it had a lot of dope elements in it, a lot of really cool characters.
Sorry, no, go ahead, man.
That was the one thing I didn't like about the Blade cinematic, the films, was that they never had any kind of consistency as to the hierarchy or the structure of the vampire world. Because at first it was the House of the 12, the Erebus.
Yeah.
Then in this other movie, it's just some dude we never heard of called Damaskinos.
Yeah.
Then in the other one, then they just go and find Dracula.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like, with this, it seemed like somebody sat down and built this whole world, like all these different houses and all that stuff. All that was dope, man.
Yeah.
You had it all, you know, but they just there was no
Blade.
Blade.
You have Blade, yeah. You gotta have Blade. I hate when they do that shit where they forget like the main character is the person that we're here to see. So you can't just like recast them or change all this shit, you know,
just
about
not
the
have
character.
them in the show.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not. Cool.
I was shocked, and when you get on the message boards, you know, that's all the kids, but all the people will be talking about is, oh, I'm team, Kristen or Kirsten, whatever that chick's name. I forgot what her name was. Or, I'm team this house or this. Nobody was talking about Blade, which is it's blowing my mind. Krista, I'm team Krista. I'm team Marcus. You know, I'm team this. You know,
and that was even before fucking Twilight.
I'm like, man, what are you watching, man? This ain't like the studio did this to you, bro.
Yeah,
this is your thing, man.
Yeah,
this is your thing, and you blew it, man.
It's like you still wanted to hurt Wesley,
maybe
even if Wesley wasn't there.
I guess, man.
Well, Blade, it says Blade turned it down.
Who?
Wesley Snipes turned down the role.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wait a minute,
Wesley Snipes was offered the chance to reprise his role as Blade, but he declined.
Wasn't he in jail?
No, he wasn't in jail.
I don't think he was in jail yet.
Yeah.
He probably went right shortly after all this.
Are you serious, man?
Isn't that crazy?
I can't believe that.
I can, because he probably knows that Blade won't be in the series much.
What did Ving Rhames say in Pulp Fiction? That's pride fucking with you. Fuck pride. It only hurts. It never helps.
Yeah.
I gotta look into that, man. That is, I never knew that. That's blowing my mind, bro. Really, bro?
Yeah.
You really turned this down?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think the blood must have been so bad between the two.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm even surprised they offered it.
Yeah,
I thought they wouldn't even offer it to him, man.
Yeah.
That's surprising to me in and of itself.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I really wish they would have done like I liked the first Blade DVD because they had all that explanation about the House of Erebus and like what.
That's if you. Oh, you're talking about the movie?
Yeah, the movie. Yeah. And I was like, I always wish they would have expanded on that. Like you could have done a whole comic book series.
They did do comic book series on that stuff.
And it wasn't dope.
The problem is the fact that none of that shit made it into the films.
Yeah,
like you should have had meetings with the houses. You should have had a subplot with, you know, showing the power struggle. I mean, you kind of got it in the first film, but it didn't go anywhere, and that's the problem.
In the show, they had a really dope arc, man. And basically, what they were trying, what this dude Marcus Van, he was kind of a Deacon Frost kind of knockoff. He was a dude that was turned, and he was trying to create, because they were coming off of Blade Trinity,
exactly,
where they created that Daystar thing that was supposed to kill all these vampires. He took that weapon and like changed it so that it would only attack like purebloods. That was his plan.
Wow.
Yeah, because I remember him hating purebloods.
Yeah,
because they wouldn't accept him or whatever.
Because the little chick was that it was kind of dope, man. It had some layers to it, man. It was really, he had some really good ideas, but like I said, you know, Blade, you know, the guy they had playing Blade, he couldn't do it, man.
Oh, what lawsuit? He had a lawsuit with New Line. That's why he turned it down.
But
what was the lawsuit?
Turned down the role due to his lawsuit with New Line.
Was it
Showtime declined not to develop the series? Well, he was suing David Goyer. I think he was suing New Line for money. I think he said they owed him money.
Oh yeah.
And he said that they like tried to write him out of the thing. Or this basically.
Yeah, because I remember him writing a letter.
Yeah.
To New Line around the time the movie came out, expressing his distaste for Goyer and all the things he was doing with the movie. Because I mean, he was a producer.
Yeah.
For the Blade movies, and he had his Amun Ra films back and all that shit too back then.
It's so weird when you think about it, man. It's so weird.
All you had to do was just be professional, man.
That's it.
Or take over the take the reins. If there's some way he could take the reins and make your own spinoff. Get your own people. I mean, if Ben Affleck could show up, play Batman, and be like, this script sucks. I'm gonna have my boy Chris Terrio rewrite it. You know what I'm saying? Why can't Snipes do something like that? You know,
that behavior has hurt him.
Oh my god, in that
Forever,
like infinitely, yeah. Because you see the schlock he's putting out right now.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I saw that trailer for that Alien movie or whatever. I was like, God
I don't know
damn.
what I saw.
I thought he was like maybe on the come up, and if you think about it, he didn't fuck up his life as bad as like say RDJ.
Yeah,
like RDJ got chance after chance after chance, and now he's making good on it, and congrats to him. I'm happy for him and everything.
What did he do?
He was just on drugs and alcohol.
Yeah,
and he was always in jail, fucking shit up.
My homeboy said somebody found him in their house in a baby crib, man.
What?
High out of his mind, man.
Wow.
But
he was fucked
right.
up.
Yeah, that's true.
But he,
and now he's one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, if he can get that chance, why can't Snipes? I mean, it seems like he's playing ball. I didn't hear anything crazy.
No, he's working right.
Expendables.
He's flying right now.
Yeah,
he did Expendables. He did that television show.
Yeah. He did what's Brooklyn's Finest.
And they finally released Gallow Walkers.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, Gallow Walker's hurt.
Yeah, it was bad. I didn't even get through the whole thing. Yeah, it was pretty
Gallow
bad.
whack.
It was whack. Yeah, man. It sucks, man. I guess this video is more like the rise and fall of Blade and Wesley Snipes because, there's things they could do to salvage it.
Yeah, and he can act. The motherfucker can act.
He's
acting alongside.
He's obviously still in shape.
Yeah.
He definitely looks a little older.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fine. I mean, if Hugh Jackman could be doing Wolverine for 17 fucking years.
And just be swinging his arms.
Yeah. Not really fighting, not really doing anything, but getting ripped. I mean, he's jacked. He's in better shape now than he was when he was younger and he first took the role. So just imagine Snipes going back to play Blade. He'd probably get, beefed up or cut up, get back in even better shape. And he'd still be physically capable. And what he can't do, you get your stunt people to do. But he is Blade. You really aren't going to, unless somebody studies Snipes, mannerisms and all that shit.
He's the only man I can see doing it.
And I can't even see Jai White. Michael Jai White is the physical stuff, the fighting, yeah, but Michael Jai White,
he's not the actor
good actor
on the same level as Snipes.
Yeah, he's not good enough to imitate Snipes.
How much acting would he need
if he's going to imitate the Blade we've already seen? A lot. Because dude is all about himself. I mean, you see the movies he puts out and the roles he plays, and the way that he will spruce up a role is to make himself seem invincible. And that's always what he does. And it's the generic invincible. I dug it in Blood and Bone. That was cool. Yeah. It was different. But then fucking Falcon Rising? No.
Yeah, that movie.
Oh, God.
I couldn't even finish that fucking movie.
Oh, God. There was not a single good fight scene in that movie. He just destroyed everyone.
No, wait. I did finish that. It's the one that he did with Tony Jaa.
No. That's Skin Trade.
Yeah, that's the one I couldn't finish.
Oh, I watched that, too. It wasn't that good. But,
it was fucking predictable.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw Jai White, I was like, yeah, he's the bad guy.
Yeah. No, the one we're talking about.
No, I saw Falcon Rising.
Yeah, that was the one with Layla Ali in it. It was just,
And I was expecting, when you see the trailer, and you see when he squared up with those other three people, and the one guy had the chain, the one guy had the sword.
One of those dudes was Lateef Crowder.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be dope.
Yeah, and then because you know who those guys are. And
it was I was like, what the fuck? They just shot all over the scene. Nothing good happened in it.
Yeah.
It was just garbage.
It's garbage. He just earthed everybody. He put his hands on everybody, and no one was on his level. Even when he was outnumbered, he would hit him once, and they'd go down long enough for him to kill the next guy, and by the time they get up, his focus was on that guy, and it was done. And it was what is the point? People complain about, Superman being invincible, and they complain about, that kind of shit being boring. But then, if we look up Falcon Rising on IMDb, because I don't usually look those movies up on Rotten Tomatoes, because that shit's fixed too. Yeah. You see people saying this is a good movie. It's great. It's get out of here.
There's a way to do that and do it right. Passenger 57, like there was literally nobody in that movie that was a match for Snipes' character, except for the main antagonist. But that was only because the script called for him to be. He just was crazy.
Exactly.
And that's why he was on his level to fight him. But for some reason, it worked in that movie. It didn't work in Falcon Rising.
So do y'all think Blade is dead?
I wish it wasn't,
franchise.
But I don't
it
think
feels like it is. But
I don't think Marvel wants to pursue it.
They talked about possibly. They said they have plans for Blade. Kevin Feige said they have plans for him. So I don't know if that means they're gonna do like a Netflix type deal. No, they better not fucking do.
That's why when he says plans, I think that's what they're doing.
That they better not do. What's her name? Fallon Gray or some shit. You better not fucking make that series. And if they do, they better make her look like that mock-up that the dude from Rockstar did. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just don't want to see
They
it.
better do that shit. they better do it, man. Because that shit would be dope.
No.
man, Blade would be perfect for Netflix. Man.
Yeah, well, he would.
But they need to have, like, the proper stunt team doing the fights. They need to have a budget so that they can do... It doesn't have to be that high because it's vampires. I mean, all you need is blood, and you need the effects for when, you know...
Man, if they can give fucking Spielberg $100 million, they can give $50 million for a Blade production.
They could, but will they? That's the problem. You know what I mean? Like,
if they can give it for Iron Fist, they better fucking come out the pocket.
I think it's a possibility because Blade is unique in every other Marvel character in that, like you said, it is the one that kickstarted all this.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you have a built-in fan base with it. You didn't have that with Luke Cage. You didn't have that with... Hell, you didn't have that with Captain America, Iron Man. You had that with none of them.
Yeah, that's true.
This character has a built-in fan base that you can tap into, man. It's going to guarantee you a certain amount of views, man. A certain amount.
And all they have to do is just promote it, just get the word out, and people are going to come.
I don't know. I was on Snipes. Go ahead.
I was on this cosplay site. It was like an offshoot of Kotaku, and one dude there was dressed up like Blade, and he looked the part. It was a really good cosplay. I commented. I was like, man, I wish they would do at least one more Blade movie before Snipes is too old to do the role. And I got all these comments of people like, oh my god, I'm so down with that. I want to see that. Blah blah blah. People were actually enthusiastic about seeing Blade again.
Yeah, this shit right here. If they do Blade's daughter, they better do it like this shit that the dude from Rockstar Games did. This shit is on a different level because
that would be dope.
She feels like Blade. Mm-hmm. She feels enough like Blade. I mean, even the same buckles and everything with the red lines going through those. It's perfect.
Is that a personal or 3D model?
No, it's a 3D model.
Just needs a vest instead of that shirt.
It should make her cold as fuck to the point where she doesn't need it. You know what I mean? Like, look at it. Even with the kicks and everything, man. Like, this shit here, different level. I mean, that would be dope. But they won't do it. And she's got an Auto 9 instead of a fucking a regular machine gun. Oh, it looks almost like a modified Glock type deal. But still, you know, do this. Don't do the corny-ass shit Marvel was going to do where she's all hipster and shit with the kind of Afro mohawk type shit, and like she had like a pink costume. Like, get that shit out of here. And it was poorly drawn too. No, we don't need hipster vampire hunters. Okay, the days of Buffy, that shit's done. Let it die. We need tactical looking, badass vampire hunters that can stare at scary ass looking vampires, and we believe that they can handle that shit. Because, you know, as popular as Buffy is, come on, she'd die in Blade's world. She'd be dead. And I remember when Wizard was around, Wizard had a poll about who would win in a fight, Buffy or Blade. And she fucking won by a landslide.
That's bullshit.
And I'm like, what do you all fucking, like, do you all have downs or something?
No,
like,
they saw a blonde chick with boobs, and they pulled down their pants and said she won. That's what it was. That's
time
what it
to
is.
fap. They were like, time to fap.
If you take all her best like fights or whatever, and then put them against all of Blade's best fights in the show and then in his movies, Which one's better? Which one looks like they'd be able to handle themselves?
I know, right?
Which one looks like if they fought each other, they'd win? Come on.
Yeah.
It's not even open for debate.
I know, but I'm probably gonna get a whole bunch of shit for even bringing it up because that's the way people work. Because the interwebs. But guess what? Deal with it. She's not a real fighter. Buffy, the actress, Sarah Michelle Gellar? Yeah. She's not on Wesley Snipes' level.
Blade would take her steak and stab her with her own steak
in her hand.
I'd be like, "What do you think? This is a game?"
I know, right? Shit ain't tactical. Yeah, it'd be done.
Or he'd slap her like he slapped that girl the first Blade.
Oh my god!
She was throwing all those kicks. He was blocking. He just stopped her. It was just like smack.
Yeah, it'd be over. I don't know. You know what I would like to see? I would like them to treat Blade the same way they've treated Wolverine over the years. In film, where he's getting older and. Don't do the Mad Max thing because it doesn't fit with the rest of the Marvel Universe. But
don't even do what they did in Logan.
That's what I'm saying. Like, don't do some alternate universe shit. And because it will be Marvel proper, because they got the rights back to Ghost Rider, Blade, and the Punisher, make it still in the Marvel Universe, but make it where now he's more of a... like an urban legend type shit. You know what I mean? So that people will be like talking about him in other series. Like if you do a Ghost Rider series, you could build him up. Don't show him. You could maybe show his work. You know what I mean? But don't show him. Talk about him. Build him up a little bit so people start thinking about him. Then unleash him later on in his own series. And then, maybe use him in other stuff. I feel like he just needs one more movie. Like, because they said like, and this is completely different, but I feel like Blade could use this. I mean, obviously he's not as big as what they're planning with this, but The Dark Tower is supposed to be a movie that's supposed to be a sequel to the books, followed by a TV series that's a prequel to the whole thing. And all the actors from the movie are going to be in the series as like kind of bookends to the stories that are being told, because they said they're going to show Roland when he was younger.
Well, in one of the books, they deal with that. They go back in time to when he was a kid. Like when he first takes the test to become a
that's what I think the show is going to be based on. So, and it's supposed to have the same, people. I think it just doesn't have a showrunner yet. So if they did something like that with Blade or with the Midnight, I've been saying for years, give us the Midnight Suns. When I first saw Morbius in the alternate ending of the first Blade, I was like, can we get a Midnight Suns movie already? Please? Like Spirits of Vengeance with Johnny Blaze and, Ghost Rider, please? Like, I think it was Blaze and Ketch, Dan Ketch. I don't know why they hate Dan Ketch so much, because they don't use him in anything anymore. They skipped him in movies. They skipped over Dan Ketch's whole era and went straight into Robbie Reyes. And then gave the powers to a whole different new character from the TV show of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it's like, you have a whole nother Ghost Rider who is probably the most recognizable one. With the best bike, the one we all remember when you think of Ghost Rider. Yeah. And we've yet to see him on screen at all. We've seen Johnny Blaze how many different times, but we've yet to see fucking Dan Ketch. And it would be dope if you want to rewrite Dan Ketch's story, do it. Just give us the Ghost Rider with the dope ass bike with the fucking crotch rocket. Make him team up with Blade. Do Spirits of Vengeance that way. Since you probably don't want to mess with Johnny Blaze, since Nicolas Cage murdered that whole thing. Even though I can't even blame him for all that. That's a lot of the writers, but you kill that shit. Okay, and give us more Midnight Suns. Just do it right. I mean, we got Doctor Strange now. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. There's your big name. And that's the corner of the universe that we can tie all these other characters to. And Blade would be dope. I mean, you don't even have to focus on Blade for that long. Give us one good-ass movie or a mini-series. And that's it. 8 episodes, max. You know what I'm saying? And to just tie up your loose ends. Establish Blade as a credible threat to, like, the supernatural portion of the Marvel Universe. And then dip out, and he's still a legend. You don't have to really say anything else. We'd be cool with that. Obviously, he's going to have better fight scenes than Iron Fist. I mean, we don't even have to say it. We don't even have to talk about that shit. He's got to, because as it stands, the Blade movies, even the bad Blade movie, the fights are better than Iron Fist.
I'm getting started on that.
Yeah.
I know, right? I'm kicking the hornet's nest.
That's all I can say about that fucking show.
Even the best fight in that show, with him fighting the dude who auditioned and people wanted him.
That fight was
It was
garbage.
whack. It was whack. I remember what I said.
Trash.
How do you
Garbage
really
water.
feel? How do you feel?
Fucking garbage water. I was so mad when I saw that fight. Like,
yeah, it was.
Like, if you're gonna do the Drunken Master thing, try and do it. Just try to get on the same level that at least Jackie Chan did it.
Or anybody,
or Jet
even
Li.
Jet Li, or fucking
Or Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen, or fucking
Any one of those.
Gordon Liu. There's so many people who did it, and they all do their own thing. And this guy barely could pull off the move. I mean, people were like, "Look at how good this fight was."
No,
it's not that good. And I
there
noticed
was the other fight where Colleen Wing fought this other Chinese lady, and that was only good because
fight, right?
and that was only good because the chick, the stunt woman, knew her shit. You could tell she was outclassing Colleen by far. It was only because she looked so nice.
She really knew her shit. Yeah,
it was that whole show, man.
Yeah, Blade needs to be on point. There's just no way. There's no two ways about it. He needs to. I mean, and we already know because they failed to do this in the TV show. So if you make a movie or a series with Blade now or his daughter, and the daughter is like the spitting image of Blade, you know what I mean? But female, shit. Then the fights need to be on point. It's just that's the way it needs to be. You need to have Blade murking folks.
That would be interesting, man. Kind of take it and have this woman Blade, and then kind of like with Creed. Deal with the Rocky thing and kind of have the roles reversed.
Exactly, where he's teaching.
Rocky becomes Mickey, basically.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Yeah,
that would be dope. Man, I hated 70s Blade. Hated that shit. It just bothered me, the design. So, like, when the movie, number one, when the 90s comic switched up, I was like, damn, he actually looks better. Yeah. I mean, granted, when you look back at it now, it's like, ew, he's running around in like this tight-ass leather
and red
suit,
t-shirt underneath and all that.
Yeah, it was just bad with the Jerry curl, looking like fucking Mario Van Peebles and shit. But like, he was cool back then, and then when you saw the movie and you see them really revamp everything and they gave him that badass kind of like tactical feel and he looks real street, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, damn, this works. This is perfect. So I could take him seriously. But man, yeah, going back in the comics, I couldn't do the 70s stuff, man. That look was terrible.
Even when they in the Mighty Avengers, when he was in that book, they had a part in the story where they flashed back to the 70s, and he was wearing that costume. I still was kind of like, ugh.
I know, like,
but I still was. But the story was still so good. I kept reading.
I'm having chest pain. This shit is so bad. It's like one of the worst designs. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, the art in the book was awesome, but the design is just so blaxploitation. I mean, at least they gave him props. He was always one step behind Dracula, which was dope, because the rest of them weren't. They were kind of like struggling to get him. But I just wasn't, I wasn't impressed with that shit. So yeah, that's why I missed that whole part about the jazz singer and stuff, the jazz musician training him. Yeah, I missed that shit wholeheartedly. So I'm going to look that up right away. Fucking right away. But, you guys, anything else you guys want to add? Any other little details before we sign off?
Yeah.
All done?
I think it's all been said.
So, well, this is the first time I get to actually sign off on one of these things. Because normally we talk and we talk and we talk and then we talk for 3 hours and then we kind of got to fade off because we're still talking when we're done with the video. But yeah, that's it for us. You guys have been great, and we will see you on the next video. Peace outside.